it's kind of sad that, maybe the game wasn't marketed properly by the NZRL. Maybe, there are obviously different factors, but I think they really dropped the ball in some way in getting the people onto those seats at Mount Smart Stadium. What do you reckon?
Oh, possibly, Keith. I don't know what sort of marketing the NZRL did over there, but it was certainly well promoted over here on the pay-per-view. On the cable TV.
Right.
Mate, I really wouldn't know. It's just unfortunate, like I said, mate. The true leaguers most probably would have turned up.
Yes, definitely.
Busy.
Yeah.
And it's just like the other ones that aren't really. They're looking forward to winning teams. So, mate, look. Once again, like the Kiwi team, onwards and upwards from there. Next time I might get a decent crowd. Obviously today's going to be a huge crowd. So Kiwis did themselves proud last week. And
they did.
I was in tears and I just couldn't believe it. I watched it with actually a funny story. A couple of mates of mine, they're diehard. The Australians, Queenslanders.
Yeah.
And they both said, mate, we can't cheat for this Australian team with all those New South Wales pricks in there. We're going for the Kiwis.
Fair enough. Who for you, JT, were some of the outstanding players? Some of the players that stood out for you in that game.
Oh, straight from the top, mate. Dylan Martin is a listening had a strong game. Joseph Manu on debut.
Yep.
Two absolute flashes of brilliance, which led to tries and was, strong all around the field. Jordan Rapp on the outside and was also pretty strong. Sean Johnson, who cops a lot of flack throughout his whole career. He played probably his best game in the Kiwi jersey for a long, long time.
Yeah.
The young cannonball, Cameron Smith, Brandon Smith, he played, mate, out of his skin.
Yeah.
Jared White, Hargraves rewound the clock. He was very strong up the middle. Isaac Liu was tidy. Martin Tapo had some good carries. So, mate, it was a pretty good effort across the board, really.
I think so too. I thought, especially from the forwards, once they got the ball and they just kept going forward, I mean, that kind of got their momentum going. Would you agree with that there, JT?
Yeah, for sure, mate. They just absolutely, not annihilated, but nullified Damien Cook at a dummy half for the Australians. David Clemmer and Jordan McLean were pretty much, non-existent. Broad Cordner, I'm not a fan of. Didn't do much. And that led to their backs getting bugger all ball. Kerry going off early in the piece didn't help their cause, but it's the Aussies, mate. Who cares? We beat them.
Yeah, very true. The thing is, though, Reno, they were still pretty dangerous, even though I think it was in the first half they had, they were making most of the tackles. They had nearly not very much possession or much territory, but they were still right in there at the half, though, weren't they?
Oh, totally. I think we had a drop silver ball or something happened down in one end. We were on the attack there right by the try line. They turned it over, flicked it out wide and ran down the whole side of the field and got a try. So, it's their whole never give up kangaroo attitude. That's why they are number one in the top team in rugby league, and they just keep going and going and going. It's that whole thing that's been bred into the Queenslander, that whole thing during Origin. They play full 80 minutes. History will tell you that, and it's the same mould of this team. But when you take a look at some of those key matchups, a lot of Roosters against Roosters, especially Manu and Latrell Mitchell. Manu got the better of his teammate in the Roosters. Actually, Latrell came out in the week and said that Joseph Manu could possibly be one of the best centres the game will ever produce. So that's pretty big words from this kid who's got a lot of rats on him to be the next GI. So, there is a lot of complimentary that have come out from that test last Saturday night. But, I think overall, savour the moment. It's a win. And, let's hope we can see more happen up in the Northern Hemisphere. I want to see them go good up there as well. I know they've been Abu Dhabi and Dubai, everything like that, and they're having a bit of fun. And why not when you've had a win like that? It's been a long time coming. And they build up now for, a few games up in the Northern Hemisphere. So let's hope they can turn things around, eh?
What about Tonga? How are they going to be wanting to bite back at Tonga there, Reno?
Yeah, they will go hard. I caught up with a guy from Pidal here, Frank Waitai, who was very lucky to be teaching the Kangaroos players, the ARL Kangaroos, the Maurako. He did the whittle for them as well, and the later Hangi. That was up at Papakura Marae. So he said they're itching. They just can't wait to the Saturday. They want redemption. Mal definitely doesn't want a second loss. They know that the crowd's going to be just unbelievable, and they know the fans will be a sea of red, so it's not going to be very many green and gold jerseys out there. But for the Kangaroos, it's all about turning around, redemption, and forget about their game. They know they lost, they didn't play their best, and they'll come out firing. The Tongans, will the crowd drive them? Most probably, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think the Kangaroos, mate, will be exciting, but you know, Keithy, the country at the moment just seems to be blanketed in red and white at the moment.
Absolutely. How do you reckon the Tongans will go up against the Aussies there, JT?
Well, they'll have a lot of passion and a lot of energy early on, so they've got to convert that passion and energy into points or into field position or into momentum and gain the upper hand early, because one thing with these Australians, mate, they won't like getting beaten twice in a row.
No.
And they certainly won't want to lose to Tonga, you know. They see themselves as a supreme nation in rugby league, which is probably fair enough.
Yes.
I think the forwards cancel each other out. There's not much there. In fact, I think the Tongans probably have a better forward back. With the likes of Fafita, Tokeaho was absolutely dynamic in that grand final. Tavita Pangai Jr., Sikamani is very experienced, and of course the man Jason Taumalolo had locked forward.
Yep.
My concern with the Tongans, though, is the halves, Tui Malala Lolo here and Ata Hingano. They might lack a bit of cohesion and a bit of finesse, I think. That said, they've got some good outside bats, Will Hopewadi, Jennings, and David Fusitu'a, one of the best wingers running around at the moment. So, yeah, mate, we won last week, so I don't really care, but I'll be riding the Tongans today. So, come on, boys. Mate ma'a Tonga.
Is that what you're going? Are you going for Tonga as well there, Reno?
I want to, but I know what you'll say next week when we catch up.
Come on.
Hey,
Come on, go for them. Go for them.
Hey, go with the underdog team. You'll go with Tonga, and then you'll go next week. Yeah, you picked Tonga, didn't they? Well, yeah, man, go with Tonga. Well, yeah, what have they got to lose? It's the dream final everyone talked about would happen last year at the World Cup. It never happened, but yeah, and it'll be interesting. I hope it's a real close game. I hope the Australians just don't waste them by 20, 30 points, you know, because they're a better team than that Tonga, but they haven't played for a while. So, I don't know. Yeah, mate. I'm going to jump on the old Waka and go with the old Tongans.
I think they'll be very clinical, the Aussies. I think they'll be very clinical. I think that they won't really care how much they beat the Tongans by, but in my opinion, I think they'll beat them. And it doesn't matter for them, at least, how much by, but I've got a feeling it's going to be quite a big score. That's just what I think anyway. It's going to be a big one, man. But I tell you what a spectacle. You know, how many people, 25,000 is it, the arena?
Yeah, it's sold out. It's all gone. I would guess 99.9% of it's red. So, just a little minor Kangaroo fans, there's many around in the country, but yeah, mate, it's all sold out. You just wait till the electric atmosphere, and you wait till you see the drone shots from above. It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, true.
So, Keithy, make sure you're holding on to your pint this afternoon when you're watching the test.
I'll be holding on to them both. How about that? I'll be holding on to them both. No, it should be a great game, but boy, how about that? You know, just what a contrast from last weekend, JT, where it looked pretty much empty last weekend, Kiwis against the Aussies. This weekend, absolutely sold out. What do you reckon?
It's absolutely going to be. It's going to be a sea of red and with the little white cross and. Be interesting to see what happens if it goes pear-shaped on the field for the Tongans. It could get a bit interesting in the crowd with
true.
Perhaps a little bit of toing and froing. So if it goes that way, if you've got a green and gold jumper on, you might pay to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, boys, we've come to our break. We'll be back with more Full-Time right after this.
You're listening to a podcast produced by Tūrangi FM, number one iwi radio station in Aotearoa. We play each full-time session on Tūrangi FM Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. You can listen in live on our Tūrangi FM media page. Just click the main Tūrangi FM logo to tune in online. Or if you're in the Gisborne area, we're on the radio frequencies 91.7, 95.7 and 98.1. Also check out the Full-Time Facebook page where you can listen to the podcast again. Make comments and click links that will lead you to other ways to listen to the podcast, such as Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, Podchaser, and Tumblr. Right, let's get back to the Fools on Fooltime.
Welcome back to our second session here on Fooltime. Want to send another shout out going out to our sponsors, of course, down there on Grey Street. Don't forget, go and check out our Fooltime Facebook page, where you can catch or replay even all the Fooltime podcasts that we have on that page. Go and check it out. All right, now, we were just talking off air, I dare say. Now, this is one of the things that really gets to me. Now, I'm not a big time, league-y as I guess JT and Reno are. However, I do love rugby league, but I don't get to see the promotions. There's been years, over the last decade or so, there's been times when I've not even known that there was a test coming up, at least, and sometimes not until 2 or 3 days later. And, whereas with an All Black test, I know exactly when that's going to be coming up, about at least a month ahead. Now, what's going on there, Reno? I mean, this is what I think is the marketing department of the NZRL just aren't doing their job.
You're fishing for a fight, Keithy. I know you are.
Well, you've actually already answered your question, Keithy.
What? How? What? What are you
All
talking
Blacks.
about?
You know when the All Black one is?
Yes, but I'm saying what is the promotions, because they show that on TV. We know ahead of time, well ahead of time when those games are coming up. Not so much with the league, I think. Sometimes I only know that there's a test on 2 or 3 days out from, I mean, not all the time, but a lot of the times that's kind of been happening. And I'm not sure if that's how I see things anyway. What do you reckon, Reno?
Yeah, you must be right. Look, I was talking to the Teens Valley Rugby Union CEO. He went to the Waikato Ranfurly Shield, which they lost, by the way, last Saturday. He saw a whole lot of people in red. He didn't know who they were or what they were at the game. But the announcement came over the speaker, and they just acknowledged the Tongan Rugby League team who were here to watch.
Oh.
Like you, he didn't even know what they were here for.
Right.
He wasn't even aware they were playing.
Yeah.
He didn't really know that the Kiwis were playing until just about that day, basically. And and I thought to myself, mate, you didn't even know. It's one of the biggest talked about things about the Tongans and the Kangaroos and the Sea of Red, how we've been relating to it. I don't know what it is. This Kiwi game, go back to last week, those 3 games, that was publicised and put through a lot of media just to promote, because it was the inaugural 3 games and everything like that. They got a lot of extensive coverage on that. So I don't really know. Like I was speaking about this on this show, God, how long ago?
Yeah.
But
that's how I knew.
I don't know, Keith. I don't know where people's sort of mindsets are. But you might have struck it on a good point there. It's not promoted. It should be promoted more, I would guess, from the NZRL. We talked off here. The age demographic of most of those people at that round table, which kind of interfered with last year's progress on that World Cup. They mightn't have someone who's got the marketing or media skills to get out there, the communications officer. I really don't know, but they do need to do something about it. I would guess the NRL handles more of theirs, because that double-header at Mount Smart that I went to a few months back, they got a lot of publicity. Again, that was a sold-out crowd. So I don't know. Like I knew about these games coming up. I knew about the Northern Hemisphere tour as well. There's a few games there, and I don't know. I suppose, in one sense, for me, I'm a social media junkie, and I've liked the page of NZRFL. So I don't know. I can't answer your question.
Well, what I can say is, though, back in the 80s, 90s, I knew. We knew when the tests were coming up. I mean, they were splattered all around the place. Things have, for me anyway, things have seemed to have changed a bit. And the way that they market, in particular, the national game